Sveiki, čia tinklalaidė Menofestacijos ir šiandien kalbinsiu šokėją Niels Claes. Niels, it's very nice to have you here. I want to ask you, how did you end up in Lithuania and what was the first and biggest cultural shocks here?
You're diving right in. Well, I came to Lithuania because I was searching for a job, and as a dancer, you're not bound to the country where you live or where you studied, so you can kind of vent out to other countries and continents. And at that moment, this is 7 years ago, I was looking for a job, and I saw the audition for Aura Dance Theater from Rosana Lukauskaitė in Kaunas. So I came to do the audition, and then she offered me a job, which was very nice. So this is basically how I ended up in Lithuania. And then I stayed because I had good relations here with friends and my ex-partner and stuff. So this is kind of why I stayed also, and then started doing other things in Lithuania after Aura. My first cultural shock, which is normal because whenever you go to a new country, there's always things that are culturally different. But for me, it was a way of how people communicate with each other. Because in Belgium, they're also quite closed. Actually, Belgians like more than French people. French people or Dutch people, but I don't know. Like they're used to saying more what they expect from you, or what they don't like or what they do like. And here, because people are more private and they're more bound to trying to, by hints or whatever, give away like things rather than directly. And this was like a difficult thing, and I still struggle with this because of course I grew up in another society, in another culture, where we have another way of communicating with each other. And of course, as I'm here, a guest here, and I live here, like I try to adapt myself, but of course, sometimes that doesn't always help. But yeah, so this is something that I had in the beginning as a shock, yes.
So Lithuanians expect you to be telepathic and to read minds, sort of.
Yeah, I think they expect it from each other also. But the thing is, when you grow up in a culture like that, you're more sensitive towards, signals and stuff. While I'm very used to saying things directly, like also my environment at home. And so, yeah, I think it's not bad or good or whatever. It's just a different way of communicating with each other. So, yeah.
How did you become a dancer? Were you always attracted to performing arts growing up?
Yeah, I started dancing when I was very young. I think I was like 7 years old, and I really liked it. And when I was 12, I decided that I wanted to become a professional dancer, but I was very scared of it at first. So I decided to do normal studies instead of going to like the Belgian equivalent of Sherlones Menomokikla, I decided to stay in normal gymnasium and then do dance as a hobby, although I was dancing 25 to 30 hours a week next to school, but it's still not the same as what you get in a pre-professional program. And then when I was 18, I did auditions for different schools, and I didn't even know if I would get in. But I did get actually into a few schools, but the thing was that at that time, I really still didn't think that I would be good enough to become a professional. So I kind of decided to go to teachers department in school. Not to say that dance teachers are worse dancers than dancers, because that's also not true. But there's a certain level of pre-experience that you need, I think, it's not necessary, but at the time I thought this was a necessity. But then in school I found like, okay, I really, really like this and I want to take the challenge. But yes, I always kind of thought this is what I want to do.
How do you fight with doubts as an artist?
Now quite well, but it took me really long, and I also, because I do suffer from like mental, a mental disorder, and it's sometimes very difficult for me because I have sometimes the things in my head don't click, and then especially with like all the expectations which you have as an artist, it's sometimes very difficult to not start doubting. But then I kind of learned to understand that dance is not something on which another person's life depends on. It's not like law where, either someone goes to jail or not, or like you're not a doctor where someone dies, or, or I don't know, like someone from the stock market that can ruin like millions of people's lives. Like it's a very chill job in a way. I'm not saying that it's not an important job. I do think artists do a very important job, but it's not like heart surgery. It's not something that, when you do a bad job at it, it's not that it will like, reflect badly on anyone, only kind of on maybe yourself, although also not. I don't know. I think art, as with everything else, comes with failure. And I think from failure, or not just failure, but also like things that could improve, that like if you see these kind of little mistakes that you make that could be improved, it's something that is very valuable to you and you can grow. And I think this is also part of what attracts artists to art. It's something that that's constantly changing and that you can constantly improve and develop yourself in. Although I have to say that's not one thing that attracts me to it. Yeah, I think I learned that also, just to be calm in it and to know that, I mean, if you do a bad job or whatever it goes wrong, it's not okay, it's still your job, but it happens, and that's okay also. Which of course the first few days is always a bit shit, but then you put yourself over it. So this is how I deal with it, by just knowing, like by putting it in perspective with other things and with life in general. And so yeah.
You mentioned mental health issues, and I really liked your solo dance performance Paženklintas, which talks about bullying and that stuff that happens to a person who was bullied in their childhood. Could you tell me about how was the creative process when you had to touch such hard and painful memories?
It was very good for me. I didn't expect that when I came in. I did want to tell my story to people and use my story to shed light on an issue that I think is very important. But I didn't know that it would kind of be so, I was kind of, wait, how do you say this? Like self-help, like it helped me a lot, like to get over part of the trauma actually. And because it took me 2 years to kind of create it and develop it and everything. I had the idea first, and then I was developing it, and then I started in 2018. I did like a first draft of it, which wasn't great, but it was like a good draft basically. And then it took 2 years to develop into what it is now, which I'm super happy with. And these 2 years actually helped me to get over a lot of trauma, especially like teenage trauma and stuff. I'm now past that. So that was a good way. And part of it was this creation also, because when I was doing research for it, because I didn't just want to tell my own story, I also wanted it to reflect the society and that other people could relate to it, and that I really could tell like different stories by telling mine in a way. So I started doing research, and I started like reading articles about it or checking like podcasts about bullying. And I saw a really touching movie about it also. It's a documentary about a kid that committed suicide and everything, like because of bullying. And these things kind of came to a point that I understood that because of research which has been done in the medical sphere, it came out that everyone that's being bullied or that was bullied or kind of goes through 7 different stages. And then I took these 7 stages and told my own story with it while implementing like all the research that other people kind of did on that. And then, for example, like one of the stages where you feel very anxious, and like, so I tried to see what the body would do with these feelings, like, you know, what would be like physical tasks that I could give the body on the feelings and the internal world, which that stage kind of represents. And this is how I kind of floated into each other, which was, yeah, it was a very interesting experience also to understand that I'm not alone, because I thought like there's so many people that were bullied, but everyone deals with it differently. But then it kind of comes out that a lot of like people deal with the 7, like that's the same 7, you know, stages of going through the whole experience. So that was quite good for me to realize that I wasn't the only one that had like lasting effects of it, that I wasn't just weak or a difficult person, but that it actually had to do with the experience.
Well, I actually could really relate to you, and I feel like writing about your solo performance was also therapeutic to me myself, because I actually dealt with a lot of bullying growing up, and yeah, so thank you for that sensitive and such a thoughtful piece of art from you. Thank you.
Thank you. And this was also my kind of goal, to have people realize, and especially because also it's very important, I kind of make a lot of pieces for youth, and to see when you're in that process of being bullied, and to kind of see that there's also grown-ups that went through this, because I think we forget sometimes, especially as teenagers, they forget that there's grown-ups that go through the same things and they don't know if they can talk about it, or like it's always also seen that bullying is a problem for kids and teenagers, but also bullying happens a lot with grown-ups and people on older age. And I think it's a problem that has to be tackled from when people are young, but it can also still be resolved when people are in an older age. I think this is very important. And what helped me also to understand, and what I'm trying to also say to people, is that, and this is why I want to have after talks after the performance, that the people that bully, they mostly also go through a lot of stuff. And this is why they mostly find victims to, you know, make themselves feel better. But they don't do this on purpose. Mostly this is very, you know, like it's something that they can't control in a way.
It's like magical circle.
Yeah, if you have abuse at home, you will abuse someone in school, for example, or and they don't do it on purpose. It's not like their goal to make someone else feel bad. It's just this is how their behavior reflects on society, and that also helped me deal a lot with it. But yeah, I'm happy that you could relate to it, and that it was kind of a therapeutic experience for you also to write about it.
Do you feel public's energy reactions while you are dancing, and how does that affect you?
I learned not to, because of course, when it's a very strong reaction, then it gets to me in a good way. Like it gives me energy and stuff, and it becomes very magical. But if it's not an extreme reaction, I try not to like kind of take it in, or I try to not look at faces also, or reactions of audience members, although I do look at them from time to time, you know, when they're in my eyesight, but I never try to analyze what is happening because it throws me off. I realized as an artist, because I'm someone with big insecurity in a way because of this whole bullying and everything. I mostly analyze reactions of people in a wrong way. I don't, and so I don't want that to happen on stage. So I'm kind of covering that a little bit. And I'm just seeing the people or the audience that are there as an object more than like the audience as such. It's also easier for me to show a story or to tell a story or to be in something if I am really just focusing on myself rather than what is going around me. And that makes me more successful when I go on stage, I feel. But for everyone, this is different. But for me, this is how I kind of, so I try not to, but I'm very happy when people come after the performance and tell me that they relate. Like it's also the thing with feedback a little bit that I learned that if I don't ask for it, please don't tell me. Of course, good critiques, yes, but bad critiques, I don't, because it's something that we have to learn as human beings also with any work that we do or anything in general, that if we want your opinion and we respect you enough to get your opinion, we will ask you about your opinion. And I think this is like important. But yeah, I think I try not to throw myself off from the audience, and I try to just really focus on my job, what I have to do, and on the art like that I'm creating somehow. So yeah.
Which dance, and not necessarily just dance, artists have inspired you the most?
I get inspired a lot by people that are around me, and maybe not artistically, but more drive and like the passion to continue. And I always find people in companies that I work or environments that I'm in that are very ambitious and that work really hard. And that's something that really helps me in a way, and helps me grow and helps me reflect on things and helps me continue and like, make me my drive go, and that inspire me. Artistically, no one really in particular. I like to go to galleries, I like to go to performances, and there's always things that stay and stick in my mind in a way. But I like when I see something that I relate to. So when I see an art piece or a performance that like people might love, and I'm just like, it was nice, but I don't relate to it. And so I might not always like things, that other people like. And like with everything, everyone has taste, and this is, how it goes. And so I get inspired by different kind of things that I see, and sometimes I don't like something from one artist, but then I like another thing that they did, or that inspires me. But mostly, yeah, so my drive and my passion and stuff about the people around me, and then like artistically just like bits and pieces that I see, and this is kind of what inspires me a lot.
I recently saw you in Kill Baby Kill, which is called the first dance detective performance in Lithuania. Can you tell me a little bit about the process of making this piece?
For me, it was very uncomfortable. I like Inga a lot, and thanks God, she is such a great person. Like, she has a really great personality. So it was not difficult to kind of respect her in a way. And although I didn't really like it in the beginning because it was very much out of my comfort zone, I did want to help her make her artistic vision come alive. So I tried to really step out of my comfort zone and to give her also something to work with in a way. And this is how she was very much busy with like the concept of it all, and then like how things could kind of fit in to each other. and she would give us tasks in the beginning, and then we created stuff, and then like it was her job to kind of fit everything together so that it would make sense in a way, although the performance is not about making sense, but it's like making sense in a conceptual way. So that required a lot of patience, because that took a lot of time to kind of connect everything with each other, and a few tries and a few puzzling around, which was difficult at times. But I think she did a very good job. And although it's still out of my comfort zone, I do like the performance. And I'm not sure if everyone likes it, because I heard some stuff about the acting and things, but it's also not the idea that we were acting in a way. So this was also like, I think maybe something that was misconceived by some people of the audience, because it was never her idea to make us do what actors do, because actors are actors. They are trained in that. We are dancers, and although we do put ourselves sometimes in characters, we are still not actors. It's something completely different. So working with text, which I think we did quite well, and then like this over like finding like equality of like the character that we were in, we did it in a theatrical dance kind of way, which for us was also quite difficult, but then also I think like it was a good experience. Yeah.
You have worked in quite a few different countries. How does Klaipėda look in that context? Is there enough opportunities for young artists?
Yeah, there's actually a lot of opportunities here, but the thing is that like you have to find a company that you work with more in Klaipėda, I think. Like there are some freelance actors here, I think, but as a dancer that wouldn't work, you know. It's kind of like, but then also I had to go away from Vilnius because I didn't have work there. And this is how I ended up in Klaipėda. It might not be the same for everyone, but for me it was very difficult. I didn't get any offers there, like for teaching and creating, yes, but for dancing, not. Like it's okay, it sometimes happens because you're not like the type that people like to work with, or you know. So for me that was always kind of a difficulty in Lithuania, because when I left Aura, I really wanted to stay and work in Lithuania and stay in Vilnius, and it was very hard for me to find work that I liked because it was mostly teaching jobs. So I worked then abroad again, like for a couple of months, you know, like doing projects in Germany and like in Poland and stuff. So there is opportunity here, but if you're the type for it, I think. And like the thing is that I was the type for Agnia and for Klaipėda, and this is how I, you know, found my way here. But it's always like this. You have to find your spot, and that's sometimes not where you thought you would end up in, but it's sometimes like that's how life works, right? So it's kind of, I don't know, I also never really freelanced before. Like I had a small period of freelancing before I came to Lithuania, but before that, and then also in Lithuania, mostly, I don't know, I always worked with companies, whether it was like for a year contract or like a couple of months. But I think it reflects, of course, Klaipėda only has like Šeiko at the moment, and like it's, you know, but I think there are other opportunities also, but not in Lithuania yet. But then also there's not in other places. So it really depends where you are. I think.
What projects are you working on right now?
With Šeiko?
Or in general?
And I don't do any extra projects anymore. I had an idea for a project in Belgium, but because of Corona, I was a bit messed up and it was a bit much for me. So I kind of took a step back and I put some stuff in the fridge for later. So one project that I had in Belgium was like what Agnia Šeiko created in Nida with Uspustita. I had the same idea to do in my region, because my region is the coal mining region in Belgium, and my grandfather died in the coal mine. I have like connection with that, and so I wanted to kind of honor him, and like also my region, because there's not much of dance going on there, and this was like a good concept to bring in a region where, you know, to kind of get an audience going. But then somehow it was very difficult to get like support from the municipality where I wanted to do it, but there's another municipality that is interested to do it. So like now we were writing, you know, a project, but then it didn't end up right. So I will do it later. So, but that's like one of the things that I was busy with, but I put in the fridge right now. And then in Chico, at the moment, we are actually more working on touring. We will have a new performance from Palegranhoy, which will come in April or May. Yeah, so mostly touring, like Kill Baby Kill, the solo, Manta's new, Nematame, also Odrosakis, and like Bolero, so everything that we kind of have, we're trying to tour now, and like, so that's mostly what we're busy with. And then we have a new performance from Palegranhoy coming, so we will start working on that also.
Nice. I always wanted to ask a dancer, do dancers dream in sequences of dancing or movement?
Like, you mean that we think of dance, like, you know, that we dream dancing?
At night, do you dream in dance movements?
When you are creating something, that might happen, although that's very annoying, because, you know, when you sleep, you want to relax, and sometimes that doesn't happen. At least for me, I only dream of dancing when I'm creating something, or when there's like a new choreography that I'm in and where I have like stress of certain parts and stuff. So, but I don't really dance in my dreams. No, I dance a lot in real life. So I try to, you know, it's kind of like, I do dance in daydreams. This happens a lot actually, and I like that, but in dreams, no. I create movies in my dream rather than that I dance, but it might be different for everyone. But yeah, and daydreaming, yes, when I'm like in the car, I love to put music on and just imagine dancing somewhere and stuff. So that does happen, yes.
So thank you very much for your answers and for your time. And I hope we will see more of you in Klaipėda and other Lithuanian and other European countries dancing your heart away.
Yes, thank you for the interview. It was nice that you asked me, and I'm happy that I finally saw you, because I knew when you put the article out, which I was super happy about. So I think you're very smart in that way of how analyzing arts, and so I think yeah, I was happy to finally talk to you in person, like not in person.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah, so thank you for the interview.
Thank you. Bye, Niels.
Bye-bye.